Have you ever felt like life is just too complicated? Like you're constantly making decisions, but never quite sure if they're the right ones? What if I told you that thousands of years ago, a collection of ancient wisdom was written that could guide you through every major challenge you'll face in life, from your finances to your friendships, from your career to your character, from your words to your worship? It's all there, waiting to transform your life. Today, we're diving deep into the Book of Proverbs, one of the most practical books in the entire Bible. This isn't just theory or philosophy. These are time-tested principles that have guided millions of people toward lives of meaning, purpose, and yes, prosperity. Not just material wealth, but the kind of prosperity that touches every area of your existence. We're going to explore 27 powerful lessons that can revolutionize the way you live, think, and make decisions. So whether you're watching from your living room in Texas, a cafe in London, a quiet village in Kenya, or anywhere else in this beautiful world, I want you to know this message is for you. Before we begin this transformative journey together, I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below, or if you'd rather keep that private, simply comment, "Peace of the Lord," or "Amen." Let's create a global community of faith right here, right now. And listen, if you've been watching these videos and finding value in them, I want to personally invite you to hit that subscribe button. This isn't just about numbers on a screen. It's about building a family of believers who are hungry for truth, desperate for wisdom, and committed to living lives that honor God. When you subscribe, you're not just following a channel. You're joining a movement of people from every corner of the earth who are choosing to live differently, to think biblically, and to pursue God's best for their lives. I also want to extend a heartfelt invitation to consider becoming a channel member. This isn't about transactions or payments, it's about belonging. It's about standing together in faith, supporting a mission that brings hope, wisdom, and encouragement to people who desperately need it. When you become a member, you're not just supporting content, you're investing in a spiritual community, a place where believers gather, grow, and glorify God together. You're helping this message reach that single mother in São Paulo who needs encouragement, that college student in Mumbai searching for direction, that business owner in Chicago wrestling with ethical decisions. This is bigger than any one of us. This is about the kingdom. Now let's dive into these life-changing lessons from Proverbs. Lesson 1. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Proverbs 9:10 tells us, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." This is where it all starts. You see, in our modern world, we've been taught that wisdom comes from education, from experience, from trial and error. And while those things have their place, true wisdom, the kind that penetrates to the core of reality, begins with a proper understanding of who God is and who we are in relation to Him. The fear of the Lord doesn't mean being terrified of God like you'd be afraid of a monster. It means having a deep reverent awe of His majesty, His holiness, His power, and His love. It means recognizing that He is God and we are not. It means acknowledging that His ways are higher than our ways, His thoughts higher than our thoughts. When you start here, everything else falls into place. Your decisions become clearer because you're not just asking, "What do I want?" but "What does God want?" Your values become more stable because they're anchored in something eternal rather than the shifting sands of culture. Your life gains a depth and purpose that no amount of worldly success can provide. Think about it this way. If you were learning to fly a plane, you'd want to start with a respect for the laws of physics, right? You'd want to understand gravity, lift, drag, thrust. You wouldn't just hop in and start pressing buttons. In the same way, If you want to navigate life successfully, you need to start with a proper respect for the one who created the very laws that govern existence. That's where wisdom begins. Lesson 2. Guard your heart above all else. Proverbs 4:23 instructs us, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. This is one of the most crucial lessons in all of Proverbs, and it's one we often overlook in our culture that's obsessed with external appearances and achievements. Your heart, your inner life, your thoughts, your desires, your beliefs, is the command center of your entire existence. It's not just about emotions, though emotions are part of it. In biblical language, the heart represents the core of who you are, the place where decisions are made, where character is formed, where your true self resides. Everything you do flows from your heart. The words you speak, the choices you make, the relationships you pursue, the career you build, the habits you form, all of it originates in your heart. That's why guarding it is placed above all else. It's the most important responsibility you have. But how do you guard your heart? You guard it by being incredibly intentional about what you allow to influence you. What are you watching? What are you reading? What music are you listening to? Who are you spending time with? What are you meditating on before you fall asleep at night? All of these inputs are shaping your heart, whether you realize it or not. In our digital age, we have unprecedented access to information and entertainment, but that also means we have unprecedented vulnerability to influences that can corrupt our hearts. You can't afford to be passive about this. You have to be active, vigilant, protective. Just as you'd install security systems to protect your home, you need to install spiritual and mental safeguards to protect your heart. Lesson 3. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Perhaps one of the most beloved passages in all of Proverbs is found in chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. This is countercultural advice in a world that tells you to trust yourself, believe in yourself, rely on yourself. And while there's nothing wrong with self-confidence, the Bible presents a different paradigm, one where our trust is not ultimately in ourselves, but in God. Why? Because our understanding is limited. We see through a glass dimly, as Paul writes. We don't know what tomorrow holds. We can't predict all the consequences of our decisions. We're operating with incomplete information in a complex world. But God sees the end from the beginning. He knows the full picture. He understands connections and consequences we can't even imagine. When you trust in the Lord with all your heart, you're not abandoning wisdom or discernment. You're not checking your brain at the door. Instead, you're acknowledging that there's a higher wisdom available to you, a divine guidance that transcends your limited perspective. You're choosing to submit your plans, your ambitions, your desires to his lordship, believing that his way is better than yours. And notice the promise. He will make your paths straight. This doesn't mean your life will be easy or without challenges. It means you won't waste years wandering in circles, pursuing dead ends, or destroying yourself with foolish choices. When you trust God and submit to his direction, he guides you on the path that leads to life, purpose, and true prosperity. Lesson 4. Pride goes before destruction. Proverbs 16:18 warns us. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. This is one of those proverbs that has become a common saying even in secular culture, but we need to understand the depth of what it's teaching us. Pride is perhaps the most dangerous sin because it's the root of so many others. Pride says, I don't need God. I don't need advice. I know better. I'm sufficient in myself. Pride is what caused Satan to fall. Pride is what led to humanity's first sin in the Garden of Eden. And pride is what continues to lead people to destruction today. The insidious thing about pride is that it blinds you. When you're proud, you can't see your own flaws. You can't receive correction. You can't learn from your mistakes because you can't acknowledge that you've made any. You become unteachable, unreachable. And ultimately, you isolate yourself from the very help you need. We see this pattern play out over and over again in human history and in our own lives. The executive who refuses to listen to wise counsel and drives the company into bankruptcy. The spouse who refuses to acknowledge their faults and destroys their marriage. The leader who surrounds themselves only with yes men and leads their organization into disaster. The athlete who thinks they're invincible and ruins their career through reckless behavior. Pride leads to destruction every single time. The antidote to pride is humility, not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. It's recognizing that you're not the center of the universe, that you have limitations, that you need God and you need others. Humility opens you up to wisdom, to growth, to correction, and ultimately to blessing. Lesson 5. The power of life and death is in the tongue. Proverbs 18:21 tells us something astonishing. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Think about that for a moment. Your words, the things you say, have the power to bring life or to bring death. This isn't just poetic language. This is practical reality. Your words can build someone up or tear them down. They can inspire hope or crush spirits. They can heal relationships or destroy them. They can open doors or close them forever. The tongue is a small part of the body, but it wields enormous power. Consider how words have shaped your own life. Do you remember an encouraging word someone spoke to you at a crucial moment that gave you the courage to keep going? Do you remember a cruel comment that wounded you deeply, perhaps even shaped your self-image for years? Words matter. They matter more than we often realize. This lesson from Proverbs calls us to take responsibility for our words. It's not enough to say, "I'm just being honest," or "that's just how I am." If your words are bringing death rather than life, you need to change. Before you speak, ask yourself, is this true? Is this necessary? Is this kind? Will these words build up or tear down? And it's not just about what we say to others. The words we speak to ourselves, our internal dialogue, also have tremendous power. Are you constantly criticizing yourself, rehearsing your failures, predicting disaster? Or are you speaking truth, hope, and faith over your own life? The tongue has power. Use it wisely. Use it to bring life. Lesson 6. Walk with the wise and become wise. Proverbs 13:20 gives us this powerful truth. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. This lesson is all about the transformative power of association. You become like the people you spend time with. It's not just possible, it's inevitable. Think about it. When you're constantly around people who complain, you'll start complaining more. When you're around people who gossip, you'll find yourself gossiping. When you're around people who make excuses, you'll start making excuses. But when you're around people who pursue excellence, who have strong character, who love God and love others, you'll find yourself being pulled upward. This isn't about being snobbish or thinking you're better than others. It's about being strategic with your life. If you want to grow spiritually, you need to be around people who are spiritually mature. If you want to grow in your career, you need to be around people who have achieved what you're aiming for. If you want a strong marriage, you need to be around couples who have strong marriages. The reverse is also true. A companion of fools suffers harm. You can't swim in sewage and expect to come out clean. You can't hang around people who are self-destructive and expect not to be influenced. You might think you're strong enough to resist, but Proverbs is telling you, you're not. The influence goes both ways, and usually it's easier to be pulled down than to pull someone up. So take inventory of your relationships. Who are you spending your time with? Are they making you better or worse? Are they pulling you toward God or away from Him? Are they encouraging your best self or enabling your worst? This isn't about being judgmental. It's about being wise. Your future is too important to leave to chance. Lesson 7. A gentle answer turns away wrath. Proverbs 15:1 teaches us, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. This is a lesson in the art of de-escalation, in the power of restraint, in the wisdom of controlling your reactions. We live in an age of outrage. Social media has made it easier than ever to fire off angry responses, to engage in heated arguments, to say things we'd never say face to face. Road rage is common. Political discourse is toxic. Even family gatherings can turn into battlegrounds. Everyone seems to be on edge, ready to explode at the slightest provocation. But Proverbs offers us a different way. When someone comes at you with anger, with accusations, with harshness, you have a choice. You can respond in kind, matching their tone, escalating the conflict, proving you're not going to be pushed around. Or you can respond with gentleness, with calm, with measured words that seek understanding rather than victory. The gentle answer doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're a doormat. It means you're strong enough to control yourself, wise enough to see beyond the immediate moment, and mature enough to prioritize peace over pride. It takes far more strength to remain calm in the face of anger than it does to lash out. Think about the conflicts in your own life. How many of them escalated simply because both parties kept raising the temperature? How many relationships have been damaged or destroyed because someone had to have the last word, had to win the argument, had to prove they were right? A gentle answer could have changed everything. This isn't just about avoiding conflict, it's about transforming it. When you respond to anger with gentleness, you create space for resolution. You give the other person room to calm down, to reconsider, to hear what you're actually saying. You break the cycle of escalation and open the door to understanding. That's wisdom, that's strength, that's the Proverbs way. Lesson 8. Commit your work to the Lord. Proverbs 16:3 instructs us, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. This is a lesson about the integration of faith and work, about seeing all of life as sacred, about inviting God into every aspect of your existence. Too often, we compartmentalize our lives. We have our spiritual life, church on Sunday, prayer before meals, maybe a Bible reading in the morning, and then we have our real life, our jobs, our hobbies, our relationships, our goals. But this verse tells us that God is interested in everything we do. He doesn't just care about the spiritual stuff. He cares about your work, your projects, your plans, your daily tasks. When you commit your work to the Lord, you're acknowledging that He is the ultimate boss, the ultimate authority, the ultimate purpose behind everything you do. You're not working just for a paycheck, just for recognition, just for personal satisfaction. You're working as unto the Lord, doing everything as an act of worship, pursuing excellence because it honors Him. And notice the promise, He will establish your plans. When you dedicate your work to God, when you seek His guidance in your decision-making, when you pursue your goals with integrity and faith, He takes responsibility for the outcome. That doesn't mean everything will go smoothly or that you'll never face setbacks. It means that He will guide you, sustain you, and ultimately accomplish His purposes through you. This changes everything about how you approach work. You're not striving in your own strength, hoping you're good enough, terrified of failure. Instead, you're partnering with God, trusting that He's working in and through you, believing that if you're faithful to commit your work to Him, He'll be faithful to establish it. That's a game changer. Lesson 9. The plans of the diligent lead to profit. Proverbs 21:5 gives us this practical wisdom. The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. This is a lesson about the value of hard work, planning, and perseverance versus the danger of shortcuts, impulsiveness, and laziness. Diligence means showing up consistently, doing the work even when you don't feel like it, pushing through obstacles, staying focused on your goals. It's the opposite of the get-rich-quick mentality that's so prevalent in our culture. Everyone wants instant results, overnight success, viral fame. But Proverbs tells us that real, lasting prosperity, the kind that endures, comes through diligent, consistent effort over time. The plans of the diligent lead to profit. Notice it doesn't say the wishes of the diligent or the dreams of the diligent. It says the plans. Diligent people don't just work hard, they work smart. They plan, they strategize, they think ahead. They anticipate obstacles. They break big goals into smaller steps. They create systems and routines that support their success. On the flip side, haste leads to poverty. When you're in a hurry, when you're cutting corners, when you're chasing shortcuts, you make mistakes, you overlook details, you skip important steps, and eventually it catches up with you. The investment scheme that promises unrealistic returns turns out to be a scam. The business launched without proper planning fails within a year. The relationship rushed into without adequate foundation crumbles under pressure. This proverb is calling you to play the long game. Be willing to put in the time. Be willing to do things the right way even when it's harder. Be willing to delay gratification for the sake of lasting success. That's the path to true prosperity. Not just financial profit, but profit in every area of your life. Health, relationships, character, spiritual growth. All of it comes through diligence, not haste. Lesson 10. A good name is more desirable than great riches. Proverbs 22:1 tells us, a good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. In our materialistic culture, this is a revolutionary idea. We're constantly bombarded with messages that success equals wealth, that happiness can be bought, that your worth is measured by your net worth. But Proverbs presents a different value system. Your reputation, your character, your integrity, the way people think of you when you're not in the room, is more valuable than any amount of money. Why? Because wealth can be lost, markets crash, businesses fail, investments go south. But a good name, built on integrity and character, endures. Think about the people you truly respect and admire. Is it because of how much money they have? Or is it because of who they are as people? We remember Mother Teresa not because she was wealthy, but because she embodied love and service. We admire people who keep their word, who treat others with respect, who do the right thing even when it costs them, who live with integrity even when no one's watching. A good name opens doors that money can't. It creates trust. It builds relationships. It gives you influence. People want to work with you, do business with you, be around you, and more importantly, it gives you something money can never provide: peace of mind. When you know you've lived with integrity, when you know your reputation is deserved, when you know you've treated people right, you can sleep at night. That's priceless. So the question is, what are you willing to compromise for money? What would you sacrifice for success, your integrity, your relationships, your values? Proverbs is telling you, don't do it. Guard your name, build your character, live in such a way that when people think of you, they think of someone trustworthy, honorable, and good. That's true wealth. Lesson 10. Train up a child in the way they should go. Proverbs 22:6 tells us, start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. This is perhaps one of the most quoted verses when it comes to parenting, and it contains profound wisdom about the long-term impact of early training and guidance. The principle here is simple but powerful. What you pour into children when they're young tends to stay with them for life. The values you teach, the habits you model, the faith you demonstrate, the character you cultivate, all of this creates a foundation that shapes who they become. It's not a guarantee that they'll never struggle or wander, but it's a promise that the seeds planted in childhood have lasting power. This isn't just about religious instruction, though that's certainly part of it. It's about shaping their entire worldview, their approach to life, their understanding of right and wrong. When children grow up seeing their parents pray, seeing them treat others with kindness, seeing them handle money wisely, seeing them keep their promises, seeing them serve others, they're absorbing lessons that go far deeper than any lecture could achieve. But here's the challenging part. You can't give what you don't have. If you want to train your children in wisdom, you have to be pursuing wisdom yourself. If you want them to have strong character, you have to be developing strong character. If you want them to love God, they need to see that you love God. Children have incredible radar for hypocrisy. They know when you're genuine and when you're just going through the motions. This proverb also speaks to those who aren't parents. Maybe you're a teacher, a coach, a mentor, an aunt or uncle, a youth leader. You have influence in young lives. You have the opportunity to speak truth, to model integrity, to point them toward wisdom. Don't underestimate the impact you can have. Sometimes a single conversation, a single act of kindness, a single moment of genuine interest can change the trajectory of a young person's life. The reverse is also true and sobering. If children are trained in foolishness, in selfishness, in disrespect, in materialism, the training tends to stick to. What are we modeling for the next generation? What are we teaching them about what matters in life? These are crucial questions that deserve our careful attention. Lesson 11. Anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheers it up. Proverbs 12:25 gives us this beautiful insight. Anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheers it up. This proverb speaks to the heavy burden of worry and the surprising power of encouragement. We live in an age of unprecedented anxiety. Despite all our technological advances, despite all our material comforts, people are more anxious than ever. We worry about our health, our finances, our relationships, our futures, our children, our careers, our safety, and 1,000 other things. This anxiety weighs us down, drains our energy, steals our joy, and robs us of peace. But here's the beautiful part. Sometimes all it takes to lift that weight is a kind word. Think about that. A simple word of encouragement, a genuine compliment, an expression of belief in someone, a word of hope. It can change everything. It can turn someone's entire day around. It can give them the strength to keep going. It can remind them they're not alone. This means you have incredible power at your disposal every single day. Your words can lighten someone's load. You might not be able to solve their problems, but you can encourage their hearts. You might not be able to change their circumstances, but you can change their perspective. A text message, a phone call, a handwritten note, a word spoken in passing. Never underestimate the impact of kindness. But this proverb also speaks to those of us who are carrying anxiety. It's an acknowledgement that anxiety is real and it's heavy. The Bible doesn't dismiss our worries or tell us to just get over it. Instead, it recognizes the burden and points us toward relief. That relief comes partly through the encouragement of others, but ultimately it comes through casting our anxieties on God, who cares for us. When you're anxious, don't suffer alone. Reach out to a friend, a family member, a counselor, a pastor. And when you see someone else struggling under the weight of worry, don't walk by. Speak a kind word. Offer encouragement. Be the answer to this proverb in someone's life. Your words have power. Use them to cheer hearts that are weighed down. Lesson 12. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely. Proverbs 10:9 tells us, whoever walks in integrity walks securely. but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out. This is a lesson about the safety that comes from living an honest, upright life versus the inevitable exposure that comes from deception. Integrity means your private life matches your public life. It means you're the same person when no one's watching as you are when everyone's watching. It means you keep your word. You do what's right even when it costs you. You tell the truth even when a lie would be easier. Integrity is wholeness, consistency, authenticity. And when you live with integrity, you walk securely. What does that mean? It means you don't have to constantly look over your shoulder, wondering if you're about to be exposed. You don't have to maintain elaborate lies or keep track of different versions of the truth you've told different people. You don't have to live in fear of your past catching up with you. You can sleep at night with a clear conscience. That's security. The person who takes crooked paths, who lies, cheats, deceives, manipulates, might seem to prosper for a time. They might get away with it for a while, but the proverb promises they will be found out. It might take days, months, or years, but truth has a way of coming to light. The cover-up unravels, the lies contradict each other, the scheme collapses. And when it does, the consequences are often devastating. We've seen this play out countless times in the news. The executive whose fraud finally catches up with them, the politician whose corruption is exposed, the celebrity whose carefully crafted image crumbles under the weight of the truth, the spouse whose affairs are discovered. But it's not just about public figures. This principle applies to everyone. Character flaws hidden in the dark have a way of being revealed in the light. So the question is, are you walking in integrity? Can you honestly say that if everything you've ever done, everything you've ever said, everything you've ever thought was broadcast for all to see, you could stand secure? If not, it's time to make changes. Confess where you need to confess. Make amends where you need to make amends. Start walking the path of integrity today. The security it provides is worth more than whatever temporary advantage dishonesty might offer. Lesson 13. The righteous give without sparing. Proverbs 21:26 makes an interesting observation. All day long he craves and craves, but the righteous give without sparing. This verse contrasts two fundamentally different approaches to life. The grasping, selfish approach versus the generous, giving approach. One person spends their entire life craving more. More money, more possessions, more pleasure, more recognition, more power. They're never satisfied. No matter how much they accumulate, it's never enough. They're always looking at what others have, always wanting what they don't have, always feeling like they're missing out. This constant craving creates a poverty of spirit that no amount of material wealth can satisfy. The righteous person, on the other hand, gives without sparing. They're not hoarding, not clutching, not obsessively protecting what they have. Instead, they're looking for opportunities to bless others, to meet needs, to make a difference. And here's the paradox. This generosity doesn't impoverish them. It enriches them. Not always financially, though often it does through unexpected channels, but always spiritually and emotionally. When you give generously, something shifts inside you. You break the power of materialism over your heart. You experience the joy of making a difference in someone's life. You participate in something bigger than yourself. You become more like God, who is the ultimate giver. You discover that it really is more blessed to give than to receive. This doesn't mean you give foolishly or without wisdom. It doesn't mean you neglect your own responsibilities or your family's needs, but it means you hold everything with an open hand, recognizing that it all ultimately belongs to God anyway. You're just a steward, and part of good stewardship is generosity. Ask yourself, am I characterized more by craving or by giving? When I look at my life, my spending patterns, my priorities, what story do they tell? Am I constantly wanting more for myself, or am I actively looking for ways to bless others? This proverb is calling us to examine our hearts and, if necessary, to shift from a posture of craving to a posture of giving. Lesson 14. A rebuke impresses a discerning person. Proverbs 17:10 tells us, a rebuke impresses a discerning person more than 100 lashes a fool. This is a lesson about teachability, about humility, about the willingness to receive correction. A discerning person, someone who is wise, who wants to grow, who values truth more than comfort, can receive a single rebuke and let it penetrate deeply. They don't get defensive. They don't make excuses. They don't immediately reject it. Instead, they pause. They reflect. They ask themselves, is there truth in this? Is there something I need to learn? Is there a way I need to change? One well-placed word of correction can transform their entire trajectory. The fool, on the other hand, could be beaten with 100 lashes and still not learn. Hyperbole aside, the point is clear. Some people are unteachable. No amount of correction, no matter how severe, makes any impression on them. They're so convinced of their own rightness, so defensive about their own behavior, so resistant to change, that they'll endure enormous consequences rather than admit they need to change course. This proverb is asking you a crucial question. Which are you? When someone offers you constructive criticism, how do you respond? When life delivers a hard lesson, do you learn from it, or do you just get bitter? When God is trying to correct you through circumstances, through His word, through other people, are you listening? The ability to receive correction is one of the most important indicators of future success. Show me someone who can't take feedback, and I'll show you someone whose growth is stunted. Show me someone who bristles at every suggestion for improvement, and I'll show you someone who will keep repeating the same mistakes. But show me someone who welcomes correction, who actively seeks out feedback, who values growth more than ego, and I'll show you someone who's going somewhere. Here's the hard truth. If you want to grow, if you want to become who God created you to be, if you want to avoid repeating painful mistakes, you need to cultivate teachability. You need to be the kind of person who is impressed by a rebuke rather than offended by it. You need to surround yourself with people who love you enough to tell you the truth, and then you need to be humble enough to receive it. Lesson 15. Whoever heeds discipline shows the way to life. Proverbs 10:17 tells us, whoever heeds discipline shows the way to life, but whoever ignores correction leads others astray. This builds on what we just discussed about receiving correction, but it adds an important dimension. Your response to discipline doesn't just affect you, it affects others. When you heed discipline, when you accept correction, when you learn from your mistakes, when you adjust your behavior in response to feedback, you're showing the way to life. You're modeling what growth looks like. You're demonstrating humility. You're proving that change is possible, and this inspires others. It gives them permission to acknowledge their own need for growth. It shows them that maturity isn't about being perfect. It's about being teachable. Think about the people who have influenced you most. Chances are they weren't people who pretended to have it all together. They were people who acknowledged their struggles, who admitted when they were wrong, who showed you their growth journey. Their honesty and humility made them trustworthy. Their willingness to be corrected made you want to follow their lead. On the flip side, when you ignore correction, you don't just hurt yourself, you lead others astray. Your pride, your stubbornness, your refusal to change becomes a negative example. If you're in a position of leadership or influence, this is especially dangerous. Your team, your children, your students, your congregation, they're watching. And when they see you deflecting responsibility, making excuses, refusing to acknowledge mistakes, they learn to do the same. This is why humility isn't just a personal virtue, it's a public necessity. Parents, you can't expect your children to receive correction well if you never admit when you're wrong. Leaders, you can't build a culture of accountability if you're defensive about your own failures. Friends, you can't have deep, authentic relationships if you're always projecting perfection. The path to life is paved with discipline, the discipline to listen, to learn, to grow, to change. And when you walk that path, you make it easier for others to walk it too. That's leadership. That's influence. That's the way to life. Lesson 16, better a little with righteousness. Proverbs 16:8 gives us this countercultural wisdom. Better a little with righteousness than much gain with injustice. In a world obsessed with financial success, this proverb asks us to consider what we're willing to compromise to get ahead. We're constantly told that more is better. More money, more possessions, more success. And there's nothing wrong with prosperity in itself. But this proverb warns us that how we get our wealth matters just as much as, actually more than, how much we have. It's better to have a modest income earned honestly than to be rich through dishonest means. Why? First, because ill-gotten gains come with a cost to your soul. When you compromise your integrity for money, you're selling something infinitely more valuable than anything you're buying. You're damaging your character, corrupting your conscience, and separating yourself from God's blessing. Second, because dishonest gain is unstable. What's acquired through injustice can be lost just as quickly. We've seen countless examples of people who built empires on fraud, only to watch them collapse. The temporary prosperity wasn't worth the ultimate devastation. Third, because money acquired righteously brings peace, while money acquired unrighteously brings anxiety. When you know your income is clean, you can enjoy it with a clear conscience. But when you're profiting from injustice, you're constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering when your sins will find you out. This proverb challenges us to ask hard questions. Are there areas of my financial life where I'm cutting ethical corners? Am I cheating on my taxes? Am I exploiting workers? Am I engaging in business practices I'd be ashamed to have exposed? Am I willing to do the right thing even if it costs me financially? The principle extends beyond finances. It applies to career advancement, academic achievement, relationship building, any area where you might be tempted to compromise integrity for gain. Better to advance slowly with honor than quickly with dishonor. Better to earn a modest grade honestly than a high grade through cheating. Better to build relationships authentically than through manipulation. God values righteousness more than riches, character more than comfort, integrity more than income. And when you align your priorities with His, you discover a prosperity that transcends bank accounts. The prosperity of a clear conscience, meaningful relationships, and God's presence and blessing. Lesson 17. Fools find no pleasure in understanding. Proverbs 18:2 makes a striking observation. Fools find no pleasure in understanding. They delight in airing their own opinions. This proverb exposes one of the most common forms of foolishness in our culture, the elevation of opinion over understanding. We live in an age where everyone has a platform. Social media has given everyone a megaphone. And what do people use it for? Mostly for broadcasting their opinions on politics, religion, social issues, celebrity gossip, sports, parenting, diet, lifestyle. Everyone has opinions and everyone wants to share them. But how many are actually interested in understanding? The fool is characterized by this imbalance. They're not curious, they're not asking questions, they're not seeking to understand perspectives different from their own. They're not reading, studying, or investigating. They've already made up their mind, and now they just want everyone to know what they think. The wise person, by contrast, finds pleasure in understanding. They're curious. They ask questions. They listen more than they talk. They're willing to have their views challenged. They're comfortable saying, "I don't know," or "I need to think about that more," or "help me understand your perspective." They recognize that understanding is far more valuable than having an opinion about everything. This doesn't mean you never form opinions or that all perspectives are equally valid. It means you do the hard work of understanding before you start declaring what you think. It means you're more interested in truth than in being right. It means you're willing to change your mind when presented with better information or reasoning. Consider your own communication patterns. Are you quick to share your opinions, or do you take time to understand first? When you encounter someone with a different viewpoint, is your first instinct to correct them or to ask them questions? When you post on social media, are you trying to convince others or to deepen understanding? The path of wisdom is the path of understanding. It requires humility, curiosity, patience, and a genuine love for truth. It's harder than just spouting off opinions, but it's infinitely more valuable. Don't be a fool who delights in airing opinions. Be wise enough to delight in understanding. Lesson 18. A cheerful heart is good medicine. Proverbs 17:22 tells us, "A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." This proverb reveals the powerful connection between our emotional and spiritual state and our physical well-being. Modern medicine is finally catching up to what the Bible has been saying for thousands of years. There's an undeniable link between mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health. Studies show that people who have a positive outlook, who maintain hope, who experience joy, tend to have stronger immune systems, lower rates of heart disease, better pain tolerance, and even longer lifespans. A cheerful heart truly is good medicine. But notice that the proverb doesn't say a fake smile or forced positivity. It says a cheerful heart. This is about an internal reality, not an external performance. It's about genuine joy, rooted in faith, sustained by hope, nurtured by gratitude. It's not about denying problems or pretending everything is fine. It's about maintaining a fundamental optimism grounded in the knowledge that God is good, He is sovereign, and He is working all things together for the good of those who love Him. The contrast is stark. A crushed spirit dries up the bones. When you're living in despair, bitterness, anxiety, or depression, it affects you physically. Your energy drains away. Your body becomes more susceptible to illness. Your bones feel weak. This isn't just poetic language. It's describing a real physiological phenomenon. So how do you cultivate a cheerful heart? It starts with gratitude. When you regularly count your blessings, when you take time to thank God for His goodness, when you choose to focus on what's going right rather than obsessing over what's going wrong, joy begins to grow in your heart. It continues with perspective. When you remember that this life is not all there is, that your current troubles are temporary, that God has an eternal purpose for everything you're going through, you gain a resilience that circumstances can't shake. It's nurtured through community. When you surround yourself with people who encourage you, who laugh with you, who remind you of truth when you're struggling, your heart is lifted, and it's sustained through worship. When you regularly fix your eyes on God, His majesty, His love, His faithfulness, His power, joy wells up naturally. How could you not be cheerful when you serve a God like that? This isn't about toxic positivity or spiritual bypassing. There are seasons of genuine grief, and those need to be honored. But even in those seasons, a deeper joy can coexist with sorrow. The joy of knowing you're not alone, that God is with you, that He will carry you through. Cultivate that cheerful heart. Your body, mind, and spirit will thank you. Lesson 19. The righteous care about justice for the poor. Proverbs 29:7 tells us, "The righteous care about justice for the poor, but the wicked have no such concern." This proverb reveals something essential about true righteousness. It's not just about personal piety, it's about social concern, particularly for the most vulnerable members of society. Throughout the Bible, God expresses special concern for the poor, the widow, the orphan, the foreigner, those who have no one to advocate for them, who are easily exploited, who are often overlooked, and He expects His people to share that concern. In fact, the way you treat the vulnerable is a direct reflection of your relationship with God. The righteous person doesn't just avoid harming the poor, they actively care about justice for them. This means they're concerned when the poor are taken advantage of, when systems are rigged against them, when they don't receive fair treatment. It means they use whatever influence, resources, or platform they have to advocate for the vulnerable, to support just policies, to ensure everyone has access to opportunity. The wicked, by contrast, have no such concern. They're so focused on their own interests, their own advancement, their own comfort, that they don't even think about how their decisions affect others, particularly those with less power. Or worse, they actively exploit the vulnerable for personal gain. This proverb challenges us to examine our own hearts. Do we care about justice for the poor, not just in a theoretical, abstract way, but in a practical, active way? Do we support organizations that help the needy? Do we vote with their interests in mind? Do we use our consumer choices to support just practices? Do we speak up when we see injustice? Or have we bought into the lie that poverty is always the result of laziness, that the poor deserve their circumstances, that helping them just enables bad behavior? Proverbs presents a very different picture. Yes, there are proverbs about the dangers of laziness, but there are also many about the exploitation of the poor, about unjust systems, about the responsibility of those with resources to help those without. The truth is, most poverty is not the result of moral failure, but of circumstances beyond people's control, where they were born, the education they had access to, the opportunities available to them, the tragedies they faced. And even when poor choices contribute to someone's situation, righteousness demands compassion, not condemnation. If you want to be righteous in God's eyes, you must care about justice for the poor. This isn't optional. It's not a political issue. It's a kingdom issue. Find ways to make a difference. Support organizations doing good work. Be generous with your resources. Use your voice to advocate. See people created in God's image, worthy of dignity and justice. That's righteousness. Before we continue with the remaining lessons, I want to pause for just a moment. If this message has touched your heart, if you've found value in these timeless truths, I want to invite you to do something meaningful. Not for me, but for this mission we're building together, a global community united in faith, pursuing wisdom and living out God's truth in a world that desperately needs it. If you feel called to support this work, to help these messages reach even more people, that single mother in Manila who needs encouragement, that teenager in Lagos searching for purpose, that business owner in Toronto wrestling with ethical decisions, I invite you to consider becoming a channel member. This isn't about a transaction. It's about belonging to something bigger than ourselves. It's about saying, yes, I want to stand with others who are pursuing God's wisdom. Yes, I want to help spread hope and truth to the ends of the earth. When you become a member, you're joining a spiritual family, a movement of believers who are choosing to live differently, to think biblically, to support each other in this journey of faith. You're investing in the kingdom, you're multiplying hope. You're making it possible for these messages to reach people who are searching, hurting, and longing for truth. This is our moment to stand together, to build something beautiful, to be part of God's work in the world. Will you join us? Now let's continue with these powerful lessons from Proverbs. Lesson 20. Whoever conceals their sins does not prosper. Proverbs 28:13 gives us this penetrating truth. Whoever conceals their sins does not prosper, but the one who confesses and renounces them finds mercy. This is a lesson about the destructive power of hidden sin and the liberating power of confession. We all have things we're ashamed of, things we'd rather keep hidden. Past mistakes, current struggles, secret sins that we think would horrify people if they knew, and so we hide. We cover up, we put on masks, we pretend we have it all together. We live in fear that someone will discover who we really are. But Proverbs tells us that this concealment prevents prosperity. Not just financial prosperity, but flourishing in every sense. When you're hiding sin, you can't prosper spiritually because you're separated from God. You can't prosper emotionally because you're carrying guilt and shame. You can't prosper relationally because you're not being authentic. You can't even prosper physically because the stress of maintaining the facade takes a toll on your body. Hidden sin is like a cancer. It might be out of sight, but it's growing, spreading, destroying you from the inside. The longer you hide it, the more power it has over you. The fear of exposure becomes a prison. The shame becomes a weight you carry everywhere. The guilt distorts your relationship with God and others. But there's another way: confession and renunciation. When you bring your sin into the light, when you admit it to God and, where appropriate, to others, something powerful happens. The sin loses its power over you. The shame begins to lift. The fear of exposure disappears because you've already exposed it yourself. And most importantly, you find mercy. This doesn't mean confession is easy. It's not. It's humbling, uncomfortable, often painful. But it's also liberating. When you finally stop hiding, when you finally get honest about your struggles, you discover that God's grace is bigger than your sin. You discover that authentic community is possible when you stop pretending. You discover that freedom is on the other side of honesty. And renunciation is the other critical piece. It's not enough to just confess and then keep doing the same thing. True repentance involves turning away from the sin, making whatever changes are necessary to stop the destructive behavior. It might mean ending a relationship, getting professional help, creating accountability structures, or making restitution for harm done. But that's how you find genuine mercy and lasting change. If you're carrying hidden sin today, hear this. God knows already. You're not fooling him, but he's not looking to condemn you. He's inviting you to confess and receive mercy. Don't let another day go by under the weight of concealment. Bring it to light. Find someone trustworthy to confess to. Take steps to renounce the behavior. Walk into the freedom that God is offering you right now. Lesson 21. Listen to advice and accept discipline. Proverbs 19:20 instructs us, listen to advice and accept discipline, and at the end you will be counted among the wise. This proverb presents wisdom not as something you're born with, but as something you become through a posture of humility and teachability. Notice the two actions here. Listen to advice and accept discipline. Both require humility. Listening to advice means acknowledging that others have insights you don't have, that you can benefit from their perspectives and experiences. It means being willing to ask for help, to seek counsel, to consider viewpoints different from your own. Accepting discipline is even harder. Discipline involves correction, sometimes painful correction. It means being willing to hear that you're wrong, that you need to change, that your current approach isn't working. It means submitting to authority, whether that's God's authority through His Word, the authority of wise mentors, or even the authority of circumstances that are teaching you hard lessons. Many people spend their entire lives refusing to do these two things. They won't ask for advice because they think it makes them look weak or uncertain. They won't accept discipline because they're too proud to admit they need correction. And where does that leave them? Not among the wise, that's for sure. The promise is clear. At the end, you will be counted among the wise. This is a process that takes time. You don't become wise overnight. But if you consistently listen to advice and accept discipline throughout your life, if you maintain that posture of teachability year after year, decade after decade, you will arrive at wisdom. You will become the kind of person others seek out for counsel. You will make better decisions. You will avoid pitfalls that trap others. You will live with greater peace and purpose. Think about the wisest people you know. How did they get that way? Chances are they've spent years listening to advice and accepting discipline. They've read widely, sought mentors, learned from their mistakes, and stayed humble enough to keep growing. They didn't arrive at wisdom by accident. They got there by choice, by consistently choosing to listen and accept correction. So who are you listening to? Do you have mentors, people further along the path who can guide you? Do you read books that challenge and stretch you? Do you seek out diverse perspectives? And when you receive correction from God, from others, from circumstances, do you accept it or resist it? Your future self will thank you for every piece of advice you listen to today, for every bit of discipline you accept now. That's how you join the ranks of the wise. Lesson 22, the fear of the Lord leads to life. Proverbs 19:23 tells us, the fear of the Lord leads to life. Then one rests content, untouched by trouble. We began our journey with the fear of the Lord as the beginning of wisdom, and here we see its ultimate result, life, contentment, and a certain kind of protection. The fear of the Lord, that deep, reverent awe of God, leads to life. Not just existence, but abundant life, meaningful life, eternal life. When you live in the awareness of God's presence, when you order your days around His purposes, when you seek His will and walk in His ways, you discover what life is supposed to be. You find purpose. You experience peace. You know joy that circumstances can't touch. And notice what follows. Then one rests content, untouched by trouble. This doesn't mean you won't face troubles. Jesus Himself promised that in this world we would have trouble. But there's a way of being untouched by trouble even while going through it. When your soul is anchored in God, when you fear Him more than you fear any circumstance, trouble loses its power to destroy you. You rest content because your security isn't in your circumstances, it's in your God. You're content not because everything is going well, but because you know who holds you. You're untouched in the deepest sense because nothing can separate you from God's love. Nothing can snatch you from His hand. Nothing can thwart His ultimate purposes for your life. This is radically different from how most people approach life. Most people are constantly anxious, constantly worried, constantly chasing security in things that can never provide it. Money, relationships, success, control. They're never content because there's always something more to achieve, more to worry about, more that could go wrong. But the person who fears the Lord has found the secret to contentment. They've discovered that life, real, abundant, satisfying life, comes not from getting everything they want, but from knowing and loving God. They've learned that true security comes not from controlling their circumstances, but from trusting the one who controls all things. This is the promise: fear the Lord, and He will lead you to life, not just someday, not just in heaven, but here and now. You can experience that life, that contentment, that unshakable peace, even in the midst of a chaotic world. That's what the fear of the Lord produces. That's the destination of wisdom. That's the prosperity that matters most. Lesson 23. Do not exploit the poor. Proverbs 22:22-23 gives us this stern warning. Do not exploit the poor because they are poor, and do not crush the needy in court, for the Lord will take up their case and will exact life for life from those who rob them. This is one of many proverbs that speak to God's heart for the vulnerable and his judgment on those who take advantage of them. The temptation to exploit the poor is real precisely because they are poor. They lack power, resources, and advocates. They can be taken advantage of with little immediate consequence. They can't afford good lawyers. They don't have connections or influence. They're easy targets for exploitation. But Proverbs warns us in the strongest terms, do not do this. Don't exploit them in business dealings. Don't crush them in court. Don't take advantage of their desperation. Don't profit from their vulnerability. Why? Because even though they may not have earthly advocates, they have the ultimate advocate. The Lord himself will take up their case. This is a sobering thought. When you wrong someone who is powerless, when you exploit someone who has no recourse, you're not getting away with anything. God sees, God cares, and God will act. The proverb uses the strongest possible language. He will exact life for life from those who rob them. This is deadly serious. This applies in so many contexts today. The employer who underpays workers because they're desperate for employment. The landlord who takes advantage of tenants who have few housing options. The lender who charges predatory interest rates. The business that sells inferior products at inflated prices in poor neighborhoods. The lawyer who bills excessively, knowing the client can't push back. The system that provides one kind of justice for the wealthy and another for the poor. God is watching all of it, and he is not indifferent. Throughout Scripture, we see his special concern for the poor, the widow, the orphan, the stranger. These aren't just nice sentiments, they're commands backed by the full weight of God's judgment. But this proverb isn't just a warning, it's also an invitation to align yourself with God's heart. When you refuse to exploit the poor, when you treat vulnerable people with dignity and fairness, when you go out of your way to ensure they're not taken advantage of, you're reflecting God's character. You're being like him. So examine your life. Are there ways you're benefiting from systems that exploit the poor? Are there business practices you're engaging in that take advantage of people's vulnerability? Are there changes you need to make to ensure you're treating everyone, especially the powerless, with justice and dignity? God is watching. Make sure he's pleased with what he sees. Lesson 24. The wise store up knowledge. Proverbs 10:14 tells us, "The wise store up knowledge, but the mouth of a fool invites ruin." This proverb contrasts two approaches to learning and speaking: the wise person who accumulates knowledge versus the fool who recklessly runs their mouth. The wise person is a collector of knowledge. They read voraciously, they listen carefully. They ask questions. They learn from every experience. They're like squirrels storing up nuts for winter. They're constantly gathering wisdom, insights, and understanding, storing them away for future use. They recognize that knowledge is one of the most valuable assets they can possess. This storing up isn't just about accumulation for its own sake. It's purposeful. The wise person is preparing themselves to make better decisions, to solve problems, to advise others, to navigate complex situations. When challenges arise, they have a reservoir of wisdom to draw from. When opportunities present themselves, they're equipped to seize them. When others need counsel, they have something valuable to offer. The fool, by contrast, is characterized by the mouth. Instead of storing up knowledge, they're constantly expelling opinions. They talk more than they listen. They're quick to speak and slow to learn. They don't take time to think before they speak. And the result? Their mouth invites ruin. Their careless words create problems. They say things they shouldn't say. They make commitments they can't keep. They offend people unnecessarily. They reveal things that should be kept confidential. Their mouth becomes the source of their downfall. This proverb challenges us to examine our ratio of input to output. Are you taking in more than you're putting out? Are you learning more than you're speaking? Are you storing up knowledge or just recycling opinions? In our age of social media, where everyone has a platform and everyone feels compelled to weigh in on everything, this wisdom is more relevant than ever. The wise person understands that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to be quiet and learn, to read that book instead of posting another opinion, to listen carefully to that conversation instead of waiting for your turn to talk, to study a topic deeply before you speak authoritatively about it. So become a student of life. Read widely, listen actively, ask questions, learn from everyone, the young and the old, the educated and the experienced, the successful and even those who have failed. Store up knowledge like treasure. And when you do speak, speak from that reservoir of wisdom you've been accumulating. Your words will carry weight. Your counsel will be valuable, and you'll avoid the ruin that comes from a careless mouth. Lesson 25. The generous will themselves be blessed. Proverbs 11:25 gives us this beautiful promise. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. This is one of the great paradoxes of the kingdom. When you give, you receive. When you pour out, you're filled up. When you bless others, you yourself are blessed. This goes against every natural instinct. Our default mode is to hoard, to protect, to accumulate, to make sure we have enough before we think about others. We think generosity will impoverish us, that giving will leave us with less. But Proverbs presents a completely different reality. The generous person prospers, not necessarily immediately, not always in obvious ways, but they prosper. God sees their generosity and He responds to it. Sometimes He blesses them financially. Sometimes He blesses them with deeper relationships. Sometimes He blesses them with opportunities. Sometimes He blesses them with peace and joy that money can't buy. But the promise stands. Generosity leads to prosperity, and whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Think about what it means to refresh someone. It means you're giving them what they need in a moment of depletion, water when they're thirsty, rest when they're weary, encouragement when they're discouraged, hope when they're despairing, money when they're in need, time when they're overwhelmed. When you become that kind of person, someone who looks for opportunities to refresh others, who goes out of their way to meet needs, who delights in blessing people, you discover something amazing. You end up refreshed yourself, not depleted, not resentful, refreshed. There's something about giving that fills you up rather than draining you. This is because we're made in the image of a generous God. Generosity is in our spiritual DNA. When we give, we're functioning the way we were designed to function, and there's a deep satisfaction that comes with that. It's like a fish in water or a bird in flight. We're in our element when we're being generous. But here's the thing. You can't outgive God. You can try. You can be as generous as you possibly can, pouring out your time, your resources, your energy, your love, and God will always give back more. Not necessarily in the same form, but always in abundance. Jesus said, "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured into your lap." So stop holding back. Stop living in fear that generosity will leave you lacking. Start looking for opportunities to bless others, to refresh people, to give generously, and watch what God does. Watch how He prospers you. Watch how He refreshes you. Watch how your life becomes richer in every way that matters. That's the promise of Proverbs. That's the economy of the kingdom. Lesson 26. Guard your lips and keep your soul from trouble. Proverbs 21:23 gives us this practical wisdom. Those who guard their mouths and their tongues keep themselves from calamity. We've touched on the power of words several times, but this proverb specifically focuses on the protective power of restraint. Guarding your mouth means being careful about what you say, thinking before you speak, exercising self-control over your tongue. It means not saying everything that comes to mind, not expressing every opinion, not sharing every piece of information you know. It means recognizing that words once spoken can't be taken back, and that silence is sometimes the wisest response. The promise is clear. When you guard your mouth and tongue, you keep yourself from calamity. How many relationships have been destroyed by careless words? How many careers have been derailed by saying the wrong thing at the wrong time? How many conflicts have been created by gossip, by speaking in anger, by sharing confidences that should have been kept private? How many reputations have been ruined by impulsive comments? The tongue has incredible power to create calamity. James describes it as a small spark that can set a whole forest on fire. One ill-considered text message, one moment of verbal carelessness, one angry outburst, one piece of gossip, and you can create destruction that takes years to clean up, if it can be cleaned up at all. But when you guard your tongue, you avoid all that. You give yourself time to think. You consider the impact of your words before you speak them. You ask yourself, is this true? Is this necessary? Is this kind? Will this build up or tear down? And often, you choose silence. This doesn't mean you never speak. It doesn't mean you're passive or afraid to say what needs to be said. It means you're intentional, you're wise, you're controlled. You speak when speech is needed, and you're silent when silence is wiser. In our current culture, where outrage is currency and everyone feels entitled to express every thought and feeling immediately and publicly, this wisdom is desperately needed. Social media has made it incredibly easy to speak carelessly and incredibly difficult to take it back. A tweet sent in anger can haunt you for years. A post made without thinking can destroy relationships. A comment made impulsively can end your career. Guard your mouth, guard your tongue, think before you speak, consider the consequences, exercise self-control, choose your words carefully, and when in doubt, choose silence. Your future self will thank you. Your relationships will be healthier. Your reputation will be stronger, and you'll keep yourself from calamity. That's wisdom. Lesson 27. The crown of the wise is their riches, but the folly of fools yields folly. We end with Proverbs 14:24. The wealth of the wise is their crown, but the folly of fools yields folly. This final lesson brings us full circle, showing us the outcomes of wisdom versus foolishness. For the wise person, their wealth, and this includes but isn't limited to financial wealth, becomes their crown. It's a symbol of honor, a mark of achievement, a testament to wise choices over time. The wisdom they've cultivated leads to prosperity in every sense: financial stability, rich relationships, strong character, spiritual depth, meaningful contributions to the world. All of this crowns their life with dignity and honor. Notice it says, the wealth of the wise is their crown, not their God, not their identity, not their security. It's a crown, an adornment, a blessing, something that honors them but doesn't define them. The wise person knows how to have wealth without being owned by it, how to enjoy prosperity without being enslaved to it. But for fools, their folly yields only more folly. It's a downward spiral. Foolish choices lead to foolish consequences, which lead to more foolish choices. The fool who refuses wisdom, who won't listen to advice, who won't accept correction, who lives for immediate gratification, their life becomes a testament to folly. Instead of being crowned with honor, they're marked by shame, regret, and wasted potential. This is the ultimate contrast that runs through all of Proverbs. Wisdom leads to life, honor, prosperity, and blessing, while foolishness leads to death, shame, poverty, and destruction. And the choice between them is yours. Every day, in 1,000 small decisions, you're choosing which path you'll walk. As we conclude these 27 lessons from Proverbs, I want to remind you that wisdom isn't just information, it's transformation. It's not enough to know these truths. You have to live them. You have to take these ancient principles and apply them to your modern life. You have to let them shape your decisions, your relationships, your priorities, your character. The Book of Proverbs is a gift from God. Practical wisdom for prosperous living, not prosperity in the shallow sense of material success, but prosperity in the deep, rich sense of a life well lived, a life that honors God, a life that blesses others, a life that leaves a legacy. So I want to leave you with this challenge. Choose wisdom. Every day, in every decision, choose wisdom. Fear the Lord. Guard your heart. Trust in Him. Embrace humility. Watch your words. Seek counsel. Walk with integrity. Be generous. Care about justice. Stay teachable. And watch how your life is transformed. As we close, I want to invite you one more time. If you've found value in this journey through Proverbs, would you subscribe to this channel? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future content. We're going to keep diving deep into God's Word, exploring practical wisdom for everyday life, encouraging and equipping believers around the world. And if you've been blessed by this message, bless someone else with it. Share this video, send it to a friend who needs encouragement, post it on your social media. Help us spread this wisdom to people who desperately need it. Finally, give this video a like. It helps us reach more people with this message of hope and truth. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May He give you wisdom for every decision, strength for every challenge, and joy for every day. May you walk in His ways, prosper in His purposes, and live a life that brings Him glory. Go in peace, live in wisdom, and remember, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Amen.